I want to show you some very simple math in today's video as to why broad audiences will always outperform lookalikes and interests. And frankly, I'm showing you this in an effort to end this debate once and for all as to what type of audiences should you use. Look, there's only one type of audience you should be focusing at least most of your attention to, and that is broad audiences. So if you're new to the channel, you don't yet know who I am. My name is Justin, and I'm the founder at paidadvertising.com, an online marketing growth firm specializing in elevating thriving brands by simplifying e-commerce growth. And the last year alone, we've spent about $9.6 million on ads on the behalf of all of our clients at paidadvertising.com. And with that said, let's get straight into today's video. So I came up with these simple drawings today to kind of show you the reality of what it is that you're doing in the back end when you're using an interest or a lookalike audience. So I'll first show you about an interest, and then I'll be showing you what it looks like with a lookalike audience. So first of all, whenever you decide to pick a specific interest, well, you disregard a major part of your total addressable market, right? There could be, as an example in here, 10 million people that are in total interested on Facebook, right? 10 million Facebook users that are interested into your product. But by picking an interest, you're limiting your ad to 1 million people. But then you might tell me, well, Justin, look, that's because the angle I have in my ad is only tailored to this 1 million people. Sure, but do you really know that only this specific interest is going to be interested in what you have in your ad? Or what if there's more, right? What if there's more people of that total addressable market that might be interested in what you have to offer? So what it is that you do is you limit your ad to a specific subset, in this case, roughly 10% of the total addressable market. And now, if you assume an average CPM of $10, and let's just say that your frequency is exactly of 1, meaning that you only reach new people every single time, well, you'll be saturating the interest audience after about $10,000 in ad spend. So once you spend 10 grand in ad spend, well, everybody here is going to have seen the ad at least once. Again, that is assuming your frequency is of 1.0, which probably is going to be higher than that, right? You might do a little bit of re-engagement already with your ads. So if frequency is 1.5, this goes down, right? This means you probably will only need to spend like 6-7 grand or something before you saturate the audience. And what you have to do is that now you can't scale this interest. You can't spend infinitely on this interest unless you have a crazy amount of ad creatives that you just keep pumping out constantly to refresh this audience, or else frequency is just going to go through the roof. So that's one of the problems, right? Because then if you compare that with this total addressable market, which in my example is a broad audience, right? If you advertise broad, the total market is going to be able to see this ad. Well, in this case, again, assuming the same CPM of about $10, well, you only saturate the audience after $100,000 in ad spend. So in this case, you got to spend essentially 10 times more before the entire audience sees your ads, which allows you to scale this a lot more easily, right? You can scale this a lot more easily. It takes a much longer time before your frequency starts going through the roof, and creative fatigue isn't as much as an issue. I mean, that's the first point that I wanted to kind of visually address as to why picking an interest is not the best idea. Now, a second reason why you could argue that this is not a good idea is because you add an extra variable to the algorithm to take into consideration, an extra parameter for it to operate within, and that also adds an extra variable in your testing process. You do not know now if your ad isn't working. Is it because it's not shown to the right audience? Is it because the ad itself is bad? Like, you have now many question marks in your advertising process. Whereas if you go broad, you know for a fact the right person can see your ad. So in that case, you eliminate the question as, do I have the right audience? Could I get a lower CPM? Or it's like, no, you know for a fact this is a truth. Whereas in this case, you don't, right? In this case, you got to ask yourself questions. Have I picked the right interest? Is this too narrow? Is this the right interest for my ad? And it adds a lot more questions to your advertising process. The third reason now is very similar to the first one. It's actually looking into that right here. You've picked a very specific type of person and show them an ad that you probably tailored for that specific type of person. Now, can interests work? Yes, at low scale. This is what I want to claim in this video. I'm not saying interest or lookalikes don't work at all. They don't work at high scale. They're not scalable, essentially, is the main argument in this video. And if they're not scalable, then my argument is, why should you start advertising, or why should you kind of build an ad account with a structure that you know you'll have to completely change at scale, which might take you a while to get used to. You don't really need to leverage mass market desires with an interest audience or a lookalike audience, because at this point you've picked such a narrow type of audience that so closely resembles the product or the persona you have that the chances are they will convert. But again, the argument is if you run paid ads, your goal is to scale. You don't just run paid ads to, burn an extra $2,000 a month that you have sitting there in the bank account. No, you want to keep scaling that because if ads are profitable, then it's a very good mechanism to grow your business. So the thing is, you can't grow an interest. You can't grow a lookalike. I'll show you the same thing in a second, but the one thing here also is if you look into our advertising process, I use ad spend as an indicating factor of the success of an ad. So if an ad, as an example right here, is not getting really that much ad spend, but it is getting a good CPA, it's still not a good ad in my opinion. It's not really given a fair shot at succeeding, right? If an ad works at low scale, but then you try and scale this ad and it doesn't work, which is a lot of the time the case with an interest or a lookalike. You'll do an ad creative here, it'll work wonders, right? It works wonders with this interest, and you're like, well, great. Now I am above, this $10,000 in ad spend, frequency starting to go up. I need to go broader. Let me just do a broad audience now at this point. And as soon as you open up the audience, the ad fails. It doesn't work anymore. And then you're like, oh, damn, Facebook, right? It's probably because I don't have the right audience. No, it's because your mass, like your ad's desire is not a mass market desire. It's a desire only shared by a narrow amount of people that doesn't scale, essentially, right? It's not normal for an ad to fail if you broaden the audience. It's not normal for an ad to fail if you start putting more ad spend to it. That just means that the ad doesn't resonate with the masses. It only resonates with a very small subset of the population. So going back to this here, your ad doesn't have mass appeal, it means, or at least the positioning you've chosen with this ad doesn't. So then we're going back to this. That's not really a winning ad either. If it worked with an interest at a small amount of ad spend, you try and scale it up, broaden up the audience, and it fails, it's not a winning ad. And now if I show you a lookalike audience, right? Chances are, if you do a lookalike, you will do a lookalike of one of these three events right here. It'll be either a lookalike of an initiate checkout event, either a lookalike of a purchase event, or a lookalike of an add to cart event. All events that have happened on the website. Now, let me ask you this question before I show you the next kind of part of this graph. Who is taking action on your website? Is this somebody who is unaware? Is this somebody who is problem aware, solution aware, product aware, or most aware? Chances are, if somebody's already on your website actively making decisions like these, especially a purchase, which more often than not, when you create a lookalike, you will want to create a lookalike from a purchase-based audience. Well, that is somebody who is product or most aware. So if I go like this here, for the most part, I'm going to eliminate the fact that this audience is most aware, meaning that they would know about your brand already and whatnot. At least they're product aware, right? Which means they've probably been exposed to your product. They've probably seen it, maybe even tried other products in the space now at this point. So if you make a lookalike of a purchase event, you're probably going to find more people who already are product aware, which you're kind of tapping into this very bottom of the awareness level funnel. So in that case, you're going back here to a sort of graph that looks like what you've seen above. Your total addressable market looks like this. And now your lookalike is this part of the total addressable market. You're only advertising to product aware people, right? Because those are the people that closely resemble the ones that have purchased from you. Because you got to keep in mind, before these people purchased from you, before they took action, chances are you've got them down the awareness level funnel, right? At some point they were unaware, then they became problem aware, then they became solution aware, then finally they became product aware, then they became most aware, and then bought, essentially, right? Well, they went through all of these stages before coming to here. If you do a lookalike of this, you're just advertising to this type of persona online. So going back to it now, you're counting on the fact that other people in your space, other competitors are advertising in these larger awareness funnels. They're advertising to the masses, and you hope that they're advertising enough, that they're spending enough in these higher awareness levels to fund your product aware audiences. And I've chosen the circle sizes here appropriately, right? Usually the higher up you go in your awareness level, the bigger the audience is. There's going to be a lot more unaware people in your total addressable market than there are product aware people. Then you have problem aware, solution aware, product aware again, most aware. And from this, you go back to the same exact thing as here earlier. You, first of all, limit, again, the amount of people that can see your ads. So here, something that I did, which I don't even think is fair, is assuming that the CPM of an interest audience or the CPM of a lookalike audience is going to be the same of a broad audience, which is almost never the case. You're always going to pay more for a lookalike or an interest audience than you're going to pay for a broad audience. And you're going back here, right? Since you have a smaller audience, well, therefore you're going to saturate this audience faster. Probably even more so, since now we know that the CPM is going to be a little higher, essentially, in this audience too. So you're going to spend more to saturate an audience faster. And before somebody tells me, well, Justin, the algorithm probably is smart, right? If they do a lookalike of somebody who purchased, they might try and find people that have similar traits who are not yet product aware, but that the algorithm kind of knows they might become product aware in the future. And to that, I'd say I don't have any counter argument. I am playing devil's advocate in this video video. I want to give you both sides of the coin here. That probably is the only logical argument I've ever heard about why you'd want to advocate for a lookalike. Advocating honestly for an interest, I don't think there's any reason that somebody could prove me wrong that there is, again, still a use case for an interest as of right now in 2024. Now, having a use case for a lookalike, maybe. I'll put this very big asterisk today and say, maybe. Am I actively using lookalikes? Not that much. Not gonna lie, I'm still always trying to test different, different ways to get my clients better results. So sometimes I may test lookalikes, but very rarely because of the reasons mentioned in this video. I do have my reservations about it. But again, just to be fair and play devil's advocate, I will say that there probably is one logical argument again about lookalike audiences, which is maybe the algorithm is as smart as knowing that somebody isn't yet product aware, but has traits shared with people that then eventually became product aware. So knows that these people are more likely to go down your awareness level funnel. Could happen. Now, the counter argument to that argument that I'm going to say is this is probably only true if you broaden your lookalike. If you go at 0 to 1% lookalike, you're probably going to find product aware audiences. If you go like 0 to 3%, or if you go up to like 5% or 5 to 10%, now you have more chances of broadening up this audience, which at this point, arguably speaking, you're pretty much building a broad audience with a slight like nudge in the right direction to the algorithm. So that said, it's a bit of a gray zone with lookalikes, and I'm not sure somebody could fully convince me of using those over broad all the time. Now, with that said, if you want to partner up with an e-commerce paid advertising partner on Meta, Google, and or TikTok, click the link down below and book in a call to speak with our team today at paidadvertising.com. That said, if you simply want to check out more resources about how we run ads, then also check out our free school community linked down below. On that note, I'm going to wish you an amazing day. Check out other videos on the channel for some more useful e-commerce marketing tips, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.